Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm Jed Brown, your host for this week's episode, and today we're talking about equitable and responsible tourism. James Nadiope is the founder and CEO of the Justice Tourism Foundation in Uganda, and their vision is of a world where tourism brings greater benefits for local communities, which in turn can participate in terms of job creation, poverty reduction, and environmental management. It's an incredible organisation, and perhaps this is what the future of tourism looks like in a world where the benefits are more evenly distributed. Have a listen and let us know what you think. Enjoy. So, James, you are most welcome to the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides podcast. It's great to have you on the show. How are you?
Well, it's nice to have you too. I'm doing great, and life is taking me well, I would say.
Very good. Again, for our listeners at home, you are based in Uganda. Whereabouts in Uganda are you this morning?
Currently, as I'm speaking, I'm right now at the capital city, between the capital city of Kampala and the city of Entebbe. So I live in between those two cities.
Very good, very good. And you know, one of the reasons that we were really excited to have you join us on the podcast this week is we've been in touch for quite a while on LinkedIn, and you founded a fabulous organisation over there in Uganda called the Justice Tourism Foundation, and I wanted to learn a little bit more from you about what is the organisation all about, and what are your aims for the organisation?
Wow, that's a great question, and thank you. Just the name itself, Justice Tourism Foundation, it has to do with fairness. That's the first thing that comes into our focus. And one of the reasons why we started Justice Tourism Foundation is that we wanted to, to deviate or divert or to do a detour from the conventional or traditional tour practices. We started Justice Tourism with a focus of the communities at the destinations. That was our real focus. And to create the conscious, socially and environmentally travelers who have the ethics, the desire to travel for purpose and for an impact on the destinations where we visit or where they visit. So literally, we wanted to create an inclusive way where the communities can be included in the tourism chain and to benefit from the tourism, revenue. And so this is where our mandate is. We want to see that the travelers make an impact on the communities where they are visiting. We are looking at the travelers not just as customers or travelers or tourists. We're looking at the travelers as a positive seed of impact. And so every traveler that we link up with, we look at them as a seed of positive impact into the communities that they are visiting. And this is one of the reasons why we created or established Justice Tourism Foundation, so that there could be fairness in terms of sharing the benefits of from the tourism industry, from all the parties or stakeholders that are involved, including the local communities at the destinations.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the challenges I think with tourism, and look, I've been in the industry a great many years myself, and one of the challenges is as we become a more globalized world, obviously there are a lot of big players in global tourism that seek to make money out of every step in the chain. So, they might own the airline, they might own the hotels in the destination, they might own a tour company in the destination. And that feeling for me was always that a lot of the money goes to the head office of that company, and it could be in the US, it could be elsewhere in Europe or whatever else. And all of that funds sort of gets diverted out. Yes, there is an economic impact in that jobs are created in the destination, but the real economic impact of that tourism seems to go out back to, let's say the US or Europe. So what in essence you're trying to do in Uganda is to have a tourism offering at the base level that ensures that the economic impact from tourism, the positive economic impact of tourism, as many of those dollars and euros and pounds stay in Uganda and go directly to Ugandan people in local communities to benefit them in terms of education, resources, and everything else. That's pretty much the gist of it from an economical point of view, correct?
Yeah, Justice Tourism Foundation, we are doing tourism differently. We deviated from the traditional, conventional way of from other tour operators. And reason is that just as you hear the name of our organization, Justice Tourism, we were looking at fairness in terms of practicing tourism. And therefore, our first focus in establishing Justice Tourism Foundation, we were looking at the communities at the destination. That's one of the first reasons. We were looking at how the local communities could be beneficiaries also from the tourism revenue. And so one of our major principles in operating our tourism activities is that all our activities are based on ethical principles. And when I say ethical principles, we're looking at in terms of benefits, in terms of charity, in terms of fairness. And so we realized that most of the traditional tour operators were like, having all the, the benefits and not really looking at the local communities that are living, especially around the destinations of the national parks. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the reasons why we felt that we should really establish an organization that could create fairness in operating the tourism industry. And that's where we are focusing. We want to see that the local communities are benefiting from the tourism revenue, while at the same time offering the travelers a meaningful encounter between the locals and the guests, and making them appreciate the local culture, the food, the music, and the interaction. And I think Uganda, of course, is not just about the wildlife, but it's the people. And for us at Justice Tourism Foundation, we think that Uganda is the people, and therefore, the travelers should be given that opportunity to communicate, to connect with the local communities, more especially those living around the national parks.
Absolutely. It's so true as well. It's so funny, James. We could be speaking to anybody from anywhere in the world about their tourism destination. And when you ask, what is truly unique, yes, we sometimes talk about the culture and the heritage, and sometimes it's the wildlife and the nature. But oftentimes it comes down to it's the people. It's the people that make the difference, and that's the heart of the destination. And I think that's one of the reasons why low season travelers are quite happy to travel during the low seasons, because it's not about the weather. It's really not. It's about local interactions and truly understanding the culture of the destination. And of course, you can do that in the rainy season or the dry season or any season for that matter. But tell us a little bit more about some of the projects and experiences that you can offer to visitors.
Yeah, Jed, as I mentioned earlier, is we're kind of like packaging meaningful tour activities. And these activities are for slow travelers. It's not really for travelers that are like coming in, hit and run. We want to give our travelers a meaningful cultural connection with the local communities. And in that perspective, we give the travelers the opportunity to give back to the local communities, to support these local initiatives. For example, many of these local communities, that especially those living around the national parks, these are indigenous communities. They are not connected, I would say, with electricity, solar energy, or running water. Their economies, basically, some of them living below poverty level. And so in that kind of background, we give the opportunities to the travelers to support some of our initiatives, such as access to establishing clean water sources for the communities, access to better sanitation and hygiene for the communities. For example, construction of pit latrines for these communities. And also, we realize that in terms of wildlife conservation, these wildlife cannot exist without a better environment. And so we also work alongside the local communities and sensitizing the communities on how to conserve the environment. And so we give the travelers the opportunity in terms of tree planting and within the communities. And this is one of the, I would say, the highlights of some of our travelers. They feel like they are connected with the community, and they feel like their traveling makes an impact, makes sense. And of course, these are some of the initiatives that we are working with the communities, and giving the travelers the opportunity to support and to give back to their communities.
Love that. And I think that's what increasingly travelers are looking for, to move away from extractive tourism and more that their presence in a destination leaves a legacy, leaves some
Yeah.
form of a legacy, even if it's a small legacy, it leaves a positive impact so that they can quite honestly feel that when they've returned home, their presence in that destination has been of benefit to that destination. And I think that's really important. And that's certainly why we love some of the work that you do. I was looking at your wonderful website, and for all of our listeners out there, it's justicetourism.org. And under the Explore Uganda tab, you have a section about social impact travel. And I love this because the things that you sort of focus on is, again, it's Uganda cultural heritage. There's a Uganda discovery tour. Of course, there is the mountain gorillas, which we would absolutely have to have, as well as the chimpanzees and a lot more. And then I also saw that you have projects. Let me get it up, actually. You've got projects including water sanitation and hygiene, rural microfinance, agriculture and environmental conservation, which I'm sure is very interesting, and women empowerment. And the women empowerment really sort of caught my eye. Why is that important? And how can people help to transform Ugandan women's livelihoods through tourism?
Yeah, Mr. Jade, in I think this is a global kind of situation in terms of when we talk about women. What comes basically to my mind is that the women are always the mothers of the nation. They are the pillars of the nation. They are the foundation of each nation, I believe so. And so in the African setting, women are not given a first priority. In most cases, from the cultural and traditional background, women are confined in the kitchen, and that's where like they're kept. And if they were to choose whom to give education or whom to empower between the girl child and the boy child, the tradition here, the culture here would offer the opportunity to the boy to go to school other than to the woman or to the girl. And from that perspective, we realize that women and the girl child should be given an opportunity, and to see how we could empower them to become a voice in their communities. And therefore, the Women Empowerment Program basically empowers these women in the communities in terms of skilling them. We offer them the opportunities of learning entrepreneurial skills. For example, skills like in tailoring, skills in craft making, skills like in sustainable agriculture, skills in personal hygiene, and in that focus, we create a platform where women can also economically have a voice, socially be able to contribute to their communities, and also to break the cycle of this cultural element where women have been put behind. And so from our perspective, from Justice Tourism Foundation, we say empower the women, and by doing so, you are empowering the community and empowering the nation. And that's one of the reasons why we feel it's important to just to give our travelers the opportunity to contribute towards the Women Empowerment Program.
I love that. I think that's really, really worthwhile, and like you say, it's helping to build the Uganda for the future as well. You also have a number of volunteer programs, which caught my eye on the website as well, which obviously provides a great opportunity for people to join you guys and help you on a number of different projects. So there's a sports coaching program, microfinance volunteering program, medical volunteering program, There's all kinds of different programs on there, again, where people can get involved with the local community, and really offer out their help, and support as well. Are you finding much interest on these kind of programs, and where's the interest coming from? Where are you getting the travelers from? Are they coming from Europe or the States or Asia? Where are you getting people from?
As I said, as I shared earlier, is we are a slow travel organization, and we're not looking for tourists. Basically, we're not looking at tourists. We're looking at travelers who want to make an impact
Yeah.
in the communities. And so most of these travelers that come to us come, I would say, all over the world. We have travelers coming from Europe, from the United States, from the UK. We have those coming from France, from Italy, from Sweden, from Finland, from Canada, from Australia, I'll say from Japan, from China too. And so we are really hosting all these travelers coming across, the globe.
Fantastic. What a great opportunity for them to understand, Ugandan culture, and life. And obviously it's great for the country, because it gives back to the country as well, which has got to be a positive thing. We can't end a podcast talking about Uganda without talking about our cousins, the mountain gorillas. Uganda's, I think for most people out there, maybe our listeners will correct me if I'm wrong, but when we think of Uganda, rightly or wrongly, the big star is the mountain gorillas. Your country is one of the very few countries which has these incredible creatures. Tell us a little bit about I suppose about the mountain gorillas, about where you find them. How many of them are there? I mean, are they endangered, the mountain gorillas?
The Uganda is one of the, I think, the country currently having the highest numbers of gorillas across the world. And around the East African region, it's Uganda, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. But of course, in most cases, we say that the gorillas sometimes go into Rwanda and they have breakfast in Rwanda, and then they come back for lunch and dinner in Uganda, because they almost share the same kind of the same jungle, and there are no these kind of like political, geographical kind of boundaries. They don't really know about that, so you find the Ugandan gorillas crossing over into Rwanda and back and forth. But gorillas, of course, are one of the highlights of Uganda. And as Justice Tourism Foundation, we do arrange these experiences for our travelers. And but of course, it's you are given like 1 hour really in the jungle to see these gorillas, at a very close range, their natural habitation. And but it costs quite I would say a little bit of more money to see the gorillas. For example, in Uganda, which is quite a little bit cheaper compared to Rwanda, Uganda is offering the gorilla permit at $700 US, while in Rwanda they're charging $1,500 US per person.
Yeah.
And and you're given like 1 hour to see the gorillas. So we at the Justice Tourism Foundation, we are running these these experiences for our travelers, and it's something that's mind blowing. It's being close to this, the silverback, and seeing this giant creature with all the muscles and with its family around and playing around in the trees and gazing at you. It's something that's quite unique. It's a unique experience, and so yes, we do arrange these gorilla tracking experiences, and but of course, while we arrange these experiences, the first priority of our itineraries are always a connection with the local communities. And so the gorillas are always an additional part of our experience. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm sure it's, of course, all local guides throughout as well when you get to see these gorillas as well. Tell me this, I've never had the opportunity myself to see the mountain gorillas, but I've got friends that have had this experience. They say it's almost a spiritual experience. It's something, it's been described to me in so many different ways as, you just know that these creatures are very, very, very close to humans in so many ways. When you're first confronted with them and you look eye to eye with them, you feel a connection. Is that, how do you describe the experience? Like I say, I've never seen it myself.
It's I'd say it's these are human beings in a different form. I'd say they're human beings in different form because they share from a scientific point of view. It's said that they share about 99% of the human DNA, which means that they're human, but in a different form. And their personality, the way they behave, the way they relate to each other, is just like human. It's human. They have a sense of humanity. Seeing a mother gorilla taking care of its young ones and breastfeeding the young one, and making sure that the young one is safe and is protected. And then the silver, back coming in like a giant father, in a family, and protecting the entire family, and having its territory as a home. These are some of the experiences that you look through their eyes and you see another human being in another form. And this is some of the experiences that our travelers have come back and related these experiences to us. But also the other parties, just being in the jungle is another experience. The freshness of the air within the jungle, that fresh air coming from the jungle, from the trees, it's also just another experience of detoxifying your lungs. It's like you're cleaning your lungs, taking away all these the carbonated oxygen from wherever you're coming from. And so being just in the jungle and experiencing both the environment of the jungle, and at the same time experiencing these great creatures is a marvelous experience. I would say something that I would encourage really on any of your travels to Uganda. You should really get a chance to experience this.
And we should do it with the Justice Tourism Foundation, of course.
Of course, that's what it is.
Naturally. I think there's a lot of listeners right now who are all going to be going onto your website, myself included, and maybe they will harbour dreams of getting over to Uganda with the Justice Tourism Foundation and experiencing not only the incredible mountain gorillas for themselves, but maybe to experience the culture and the heritage, and to meet the people, and maybe to leave their mark in a positive way on Uganda as well. James, thank you so much for spending the time with us this morning to record this podcast. You've got a wonderful organization. I've told that to you before. We've been connected on LinkedIn for quite some time. And I love what you're doing. I love how it's a really great form of tourism that I think it's the future of tourism is models like you have at the Justice Tourism Foundation, where it's not an extractive process, but it really is helping to develop in the nicest of ways the destination, to get to know the people in the destination as well as the culture there as well. And I think it's a really great model, and I wish you every success. And hey, we should do another podcast again, maybe in a couple of months' time, and learn a little bit more about some of the experiences that you've got, if you'd be up for that.
Thank you so much, Jed, for this wonderful time. And I know you guys in the other part of the world, you're always on the go, and your time is always so much squeezed. But I want to say thank you so much for offering me and Justice Tourism Foundation the opportunity to share our experiences here with the viewers at that end, whenever they are. I want to say thank you so much, and of course I look forward to the next broadcasts whenever you get a chance. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, James.
Thank you.
So there you have it. We've been following James here at Low Season Traveller, and we've been following the Justice Tourism Foundation indeed for quite a while now, and we're really loving watching the movement grow. Please do visit justicetourism.co.ug to find out more about the projects and the experiences which they operate in Uganda, and perhaps you could join them this year for a truly immersive and equitable tourism experience, which will surely be the trip of a lifetime. And you can learn more about Uganda and what it's like during its low season months on lowseasontraveller.com/destination/Uganda. But that's our show for this week. Thanks as always for your company. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please do leave us a positive rating and a review on your podcast app. It really does help. And also, please do follow us on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn, so you'll be the first to hear our latest low season stories, articles and guides. Have a great week wherever you are, and remember that travel is always better and fairer for the planet, the local communities and you the travellers, when it's without the crowds.